Round 23, TLT reaction time, as always. It's always a bit of fun. We've got Helam Lukey returning, it looks like, along with Nelson and Brimo potentially out. That's my guess here from the three on this front list. Let's get into it. Bundy Mixer is always there. Seems like a few people promoting it at the moment, which is always fun. So let's get into Roosters and Eagles. So we get the nice looping day, which I'm probably going to try and do this time. And thankfully Teddy is there, along with Joey Manu, Ruben Garrick in that slot at fullback, which is good. Sanders Smith keeps his spot for those that own him and are needing his scoring. We have DCE, which is great there from what I see. Matt Lodge keeps his spot for anyone looking at him. He's definitely a potential option that should be able to get that sort of close to 50 minutes, I'd imagine. You've got Sipley there that should be able to do pretty well also. And then interchange, you've got Bully back, who hasn't played in a bunch of weeks, I believe. From the Rooster side of things, Wong comes into the edge. So who comes out? Yeah, it's Egan with the head knock. So Wong will come in and play that one. Don't expect it to happen regularly for Siua Wong there to come in. Into that position. Drew Hutchison does join the bench and Jake Turpin just completely out. So very, very interesting how that's all worked out, that situation, given Turpin has been very, very good, I think, for the Roosters. Obviously defensively, but just gives good service out of dummy half, and they're just going all in on Brandon Smith back, and I suppose the hope is that he'll return to some really, really good form and help these Roosters come out and win this game. So, yeah, very interesting on that front. Wong was going to be in for his fourth game, as we said. Very interesting player to look at as a potential cash out if you do need one. I imagine most people have a couple already and probably don't need another one that's not going to play further than this week. Joey Manu and Teddy, both guys you can try and loop this week. But I imagine definitely they're going to score better than last. You can't go 22 and 15 for the both of them. I don't think you can keep them out of the scoring very much longer than they have been last week there for sure. Ben Trbojevic is back as well, and he's on the bench, I believe. Yeah, so Ben Trbojevic, for those that own him, I suppose that's a little something. If you do need him, or you can loop him or something like that, will work out just fine. For the Titans, no, Brimson is in the one position. Beautiful. Foran and Boyd are in their slots there. Fafita, he's in there still. Tino obviously out. Cleese Haas still remains on the bench. So a small worry there on Fafita. Hopefully he's back to full health and he just continues holding that spot. I imagine they do switch Randall again. That potentially they'll switch Verrills out. Off to the bench again like last time, which would be interesting. So nothing too much changes on the Titan side. Jojo Fafita is out and Aaron Shoop just comes back in. So pretty normal on that front. For the Warriors, things look exactly the same. Tall Harris is there. We've got Johnson back, which is awesome chance for those that own him. Interchange, very much the same as well. For Curran, keep their spot. Murata Niukura in there with Ford as well. So Mitch Barnett in the starting side. Adam Fanua-Blake, if JDB does come out, he's fighting that charge tonight. And that's why I didn't want to pop out the video, any other video earlier today, guys, was just for the fact that we don't have all the information on Jack DeBellin, and he's going to be a big trade piece for any of us this week that own him, for the most people that do. So I just wanted to wait until we go through team lists and obviously hear the Jack DeBellin news before we go through any further video. I think there'll be enough coming over the week, as there always is, to not need that one today as a bit of an extra one looking forward, because we've kind of gone through the majority of it now in terms of looking forward into the last, it was 6-7 rounds, now 6 into 5 this week. So that's why we don't have that. Let's just wait on the great man DeBellin, great man. Anyway, the great scorer in fantasy. Jazz Tavanga is in the 18th man position as well, which is exciting for Warriors to get him at the right time of the year. Just hope that he doesn't come back a little bit too early and have any injuries, which would not be fun. Holy smokers! Zach Hosking in the center position. Still no Isaac Tungle. Where is he? Okay, he's in the reserve. So a very high chance, I'd imagine, that Tungle comes in and plays in this game. It's a very important one for the Panthers. So very, very interesting that Hosking's been named in that center position. Definitely wouldn't have thought that. Obviously, not many people own him anymore. But for those that still do, center's very interesting. I doubt that he actually keeps it, but definitely something to look at. Anyway there. Young Son of Mapea on the other side, thought he had end up with an injury, but he's been named and looks like he'll play at this point. If he doesn't, then who they have to come back in? No one really. I guess so, maybe George Jennings potentially. Yeah, interesting. Eli Katoa still named on the bench, so Nelson being named in that to start on the edge there, which I think probably a good move to go. He can start for 30 or 40 minutes, see how that goes, and bring Eli Eli Gatoa on about the 30 mark and for him to play 50, and really you don't lose too much on that edge going from Nelson to Ellie, and then either Nelson can get a bit of a spell, come back on through the middle, and make the decisions from there. I think it's probably a really, really good way to do it. They can use their good punch from their forwards up top with Welch and Kamikamitha and all that, and then in a second stint, potentially Nelson comes off in the 20 and then comes back on 10 minutes later for like a Welch or something like that, and they can use him through the forwards. I think it's been a really, really fun game to watch, that's for sure, with the Panthers there. And clearly, obviously, you want him in your side as quickly as you can to be your captain, but it's not going to be an easy assignment, but we know he can score really well against good teams. He got 100 plus against the Broncos in round 12. A solid option as well. Dylan Edwards, people talking about looping him as well. If you don't have Teddy or something, you have Edwards instead, then looping him in this game could work out well. But he does seem to score fairly solidly against some of the better teams as well. Just the work ethic he has to come out of his own half. Isaiah, obviously, if JDB is out, a cracking replacement from him if you have enough funds in the bank. And Tyron Peachy is out this week. All right, so Cowboys and the Broncos. I do really think the Cowboys can bounce back from this one. Cohen Hess is named in on the edge, I should say. Him looking in the interchange, and Finna Fuyaki is actually out of this one. What happened to him in the end? Does it say? Where is he? Finna. Doesn't say it, does it? Of course it doesn't. Anyway, what's happened with Robson? Robson is there. So what do they say about Robbo? So, yeah, Holmes, they're going to challenge his one as well, which is going to be interesting. So we've got him tonight, and also Jack DeBellin. Hooker Robson suffered a head knock in the closing stages because we didn't actually hear about anything with his jaw or his head, but he's been named. Sweet. Griffin Neem to return. He'll look to return from his facial fracture, which is good. Pia Kuro is going to return. So, yeah, interesting on that front. But he goes into that start, carrying him back to 13 after he got his try. Good on him. I still think Payne Haas, guys, if you haven't got him yet, I think he's a really, really good purchase this week. I think he'll be able to have a big game. He's had a few 50s in a row, and I think this might be the week for him to come out and dominate. Tony Staggs, maybe a little bit too expensive now to grab, considering he's had two really solid weeks on that front. Really, for the Cowboys, you're holding Drinkwater. That's probably it. I keep avoiding Cotter, guys. He's getting cheaper and cheaper, but I still think he's not. I still don't think he's a good buy. Where's Jason Temelo? He's in the starting side this week, so yeah, very interesting on that one. That's probably it. Let's go Dolphins and Knights. Ponga is there. Greg Marzu is there. Tyson Frizzell. Nothing changes for the Knights, which is helpful for them. Who's going to be out? Ewan Aitken is out, so Maintenance Val's definitely going to keep his spot. Cody Nikarima named in the centres. Defensively, that's going to be a very interesting one. Milford's getting the start, and Sean O'Sullivan in there at 7. So they obviously want him in the team in some capacity. How is Lemuelu named? Can someone tell me that? How's that work? Connolly Lemuelu Headknock has been named to play. How? I don't know. Why are they getting exemption somehow? He failed his HIA. Was it Cat 2? Was it not Cat 1? Tell me in the comments. I thought it was Cat 1. Anyway, he's been named, so cool. Maybe if it's Cat 2, then they're obviously going to go through the protocol. If it's Cat 1, then they have to get special exemption, and I doubt they'd be able to do that less than a week later. Anyway, Val keeps his spot. So this is a week where he could get terrorized by, what's he going to be on the left? He could get terrorized by Dane Gago. Oh, that's scary. Yeah, maybe you don't want to play him. Maybe he's a last resort type of guy if you do own him. Wing fullback or center, you can loop one of those top guys. If you have, Preston or Max King or someone you could loop. You loop like a Teddy or a Manu or a Dylan Edwards or something like that, which seems a bit silly to loop them, but it worked last week, right? So I could definitely do that again. Anyone else from the Knights? Like Dan Gagai would be a great purchase, obviously. From the Dolphins, I think you could avoid anyone else. At the moment, Jeremy Marshall King you could look at, but yeah, not super excited. On that front, if you're looking at the Sharkies, Connor Tracy is named at 1. So they basically just rolling with what they ended up playing last week when the injury came in. Talakai keeps the center spot, obviously. Britton Nicaragua back to that. Wade Graham keeps his spot on the starting side. So that's frustrating for my team, given I have Jesse Colquhoun. in that spot, he's going to get on the bench. So he might play, a mixture of middle and edge. Maybe he plays 30, 20 on the edge. Yeah, it's pretty yucky, to be honest with you, how that's ended up there. Cam Murray obviously is there, which is good. Jacob Host back to the reserves. Blake Taff, he was already out. Who did they lose? Oregon Kafusi is out. Let's see what they say about Kafusi there. What do we got here? Kafusi doesn't say. Goes out of the squad. Just goes out. Okay. There you go. Malatalo's been named, so that's good. If anyone owns him, I don't think there's many. Munro's in the 18 jersey, so still hasn't been named. There's a decent chance he could come back into the side, but for those owning him, I suppose you could use him as a a maybe. Obviously a looper guy, but if he comes in, you could maybe play him against the Sharks if he comes in for Tane Milne, which would be interesting. Damien Cook, is he a hold or a sell? I think probably this stage with the trades you have, he's a hold. Eels and the Dragons, right? Lumi is back on the wing. Penasini's still there. Mitch Moses is there. Dylan Brown has been named. So massive news for the Eels on this one. That he's there. It's really going to be their last chance, isn't he? To oh geez, I've just noticed a few changes here. Wow. Okay. Let's start there. Yeah, they need him basically if they're going to look at any chance of winning. Basically. All right. For those that sold Ryan Madison, wow. It's a big ouch because the 60 odd last week in big minutes, he's now named on the edge. They do have to change things, I believe, and clearly they need to change things there. And he's going to be that guy. It looks like he'll play on the left, really, which could be very very interesting. Madison running lines off Dylan Brown. I think that right has been pretty solid on the attacking side. Cartwright has absolutely found a home there on that right side, and that's really good news for Eels. I think if anyone who owns Madison, it's great. Hopgood keeps his spot, and that bench does not worry me for minutes at all. Madison likely plays 80 now, and if you don't have many Eels players, he's actually someone that's fairly cheap now, and it is a really good option. The other thing I noticed there, obviously, is Brendan Hands, and he is completely out of this side now. Wow. Gee, that's changed quick. I actually think he did a really good job. He obviously, got a try assist to RCG a few weeks ago. Defensively, he's been really solid until that mishap, that air swing that he had that he didn't really try. He's just been completely dropped. So Dejan Arce is out, obviously, as well. But yeah, Brendan Hand's gone. So that could be one that's, his price point. I suppose it's helpful that if he doesn't play, he can't lose any further. But yeah, that's frustrating because he was a guy that you could depend upon and be a 40+ guy. And now that he's not, it could be like a straight swap to someone like Dan Russell because we don't see Jack Bird again. He's in the reserves, and Dan Russell and Billy Burns have been very solid in this side. And, Zach Lomax is in there doing his thing. And thankfully for Penasini, he's going to be up against Sully rather than Lomax, as I said in that previous video there. But, very frustrating for Hands owners. If DeBellin's, if he actually plays, then I probably don't have to trade this week at all. But, Hands could be the option to trade out if something at that price sideways. I think I got 34K, so I think he's 400 and low 400. So, someone sideways to him could be a play. Very interesting. Something to think about, that's for sure, for all owners in that one. So, as I said, Jack DeBellin is going to the judiciary tonight, as well as Val Holmes. So, that'll be fun. All right, let's go to the last one, I believe. Raiders and the Tigs. So Rapana ends up in the fullback position. So they played around with it in the back end of that game on the weekend. And now they've moved him back and Seb Chris to centre. They're not happy with it. So there you go. He's to left centre. Jared Croker is not to be seen. Nick Kotrick, for anyone who grabbed him as a cash-out non-player, he is playing. So there you go. Not sure if that helps or hinders. Corey Horse was still named to 13, so there's been no ridiculous changes in that. And surely with this interchange, he goes back to big minutes there in this one. Joe Croker's out, as I said. Sean Bloor and Stefano Utoikamanu is out. What happened to Stefano? We'll miss the match with the head knock. Stefano, not sure. There you go. Someone tell me how that works for Stefano. Did he have an issue last week that I can't remember? Let me know if that's the case. But yeah, Tigers-wise, so he's out, which means Twali starts, Clem, Papali'i, Bateman, Pole. Minutes-wise, Justin Matamua gets a spot on the interchange, which is cool. I suppose that's really all. Dream Bullard, Junior Tupou in the centres, Charlie Staines named on the wing. So there you go. That's the team list. So yeah, overall, probably the Eels is the Eels team has the big changes. And let's just wait till tonight. It won't be too long, I believe. We've got a few hours until we'll go through judiciary, and hopefully it doesn't take anywhere near as long as the Walsh one. There's definitely a case for Jack de Belin, considering his feet didn't leave the ground. Obviously, was a sweeping motion in the tackle, so he definitely has a case to get it downgraded. I'm not sure if they're going to. Obviously, the ban for him is greater for the grade 2 because he's had all the previous offences. But if they're looking at just this offence by itself, if they are to downgrade it to a grade 1, which is a chance to, if they don't take into the account the injury, there's a chance. But let's just wait and see what happens. Either way, if you have 0 trades, you're gutted if he is out. If you don't, then you could use that 1. I wouldn't be using 2 unless Cleary's the option. That's all really. That's the team list, guys. I hope you enjoyed this hangout and in this live reaction, and good luck with assembling your best 17 this week.